America loves a rebel. In the 1950s, we had an image of the street gang. Slicked back hair, leather jackets, and a switchblade in the back pocket. It was dangerous, sure, but it had a code. It had style. Think of West Side Story or Marlon Brando. But fast forward just 15 years. By 1970, the leather jackets were gone. They were replaced by denim vests covered in patches. The switchblades were replaced by zip guns and 3/8 specials. The code of honor was burned away by heroin and poverty.
In the post-war boom of the 1950s, teenagers were bored. They formed clubs. In Brooklyn, Chicago, and Philly, your block was your world. The uniform was strict: white t-shirt, Levi's, cuffs rolled up, engineer boots. And the hair? Plenty of pomade. Violence was physical. It was about fists, chains, and knives. A rumble was an arranged event. You met at the park at midnight. You fought to protect your turf or your girl. It was brutal. Teeth were knocked out, but you usually went home alive. There was a hierarchy: the warlord, the president, the peacemaker. It mirrored the military structure their fathers knew from World War II.
But in the early 60s, a shadow fell over the neighborhood. Heroin arrived. The old gangs, built on athleticism and fighting, couldn't survive the needle. Leaders got hooked. Structures collapsed. The rumble disappeared because no one had the energy to fight. Then came Vietnam. Older brothers went to war and came back changed. They brought back military tactics and a disillusionment with society. The streets became colder. The romantic image of the rebel was fading, replaced by the reality of addiction and social unrest. The rules were changing, and the stakes were getting higher. Meanwhile, on the West Coast, the Hells Angels were creating a new blueprint. The cut, the denim or leather vest with patches on the back, became the ultimate symbol of outlaw status. Street gangs on the East Coast adopted this look. They realized that a uniform created fear. It created an army. By the late 60s, if you saw a group of men in matching denim vests walking down the avenue, you crossed the street. The vest was their flag, and they would die to protect it. Losing your colors was a fate worse than death.
Welcome to the Bronx, 1972. The borough was burning. Landlords were torching buildings for insurance money. In this apocalyptic landscape, new gangs rose from the ashes: the Savage Skulls, the Black Spades, the Ghetto Brothers. These weren't just kids fighting. These were warlords ruling over ruins. They policed their own streets because the NYPD wouldn't come. They wore German helmets, fur collars, and chains. It looked like a scene from Mad Max. The weaponry evolved, too. Zip guns, Homemade firearms made from car antennas and rubber bands turned street fights into deadly skirmishes.
The violence reached a breaking point. In 1971, after the death of a peacemaker named Black Benji, something incredible happened. The Ho Avenue Peace Meeting. Dozens of rival warlords from all over the city met in a gym in the Bronx. Imagine the tension. Hundreds of sworn enemies in one room. But instead of fighting, they talked. They signed a treaty. This moment paved the way for something new. With the violence paused, the energy of the streets needed a new outlet. That outlet became hip-hop.
By the late 70s, the era of the great street gangs began to fade, replaced by heavy drugs and organized crime. The romantic notion of the neighborhood defender was gone forever. Looking back, it was a terrifying time, but it was also a time of belonging. These young men created families when their own were broken. From the pompadours of the 50s to the patches of the 70s, they defined an era of American chaos. Do you remember these groups in your city? Did you ever have to run to avoid a turf war? Tell us your story in the comments.
The smoke has long cleared over the Bronx. The rubble has been swept away, and the burning buildings are just ghosts in old photographs. Looking back from the safety of today, it's easy to see only the chaos. The chains, the zip guns, the fear in the eyes of shopkeepers. But those of us who lived through it know there was something else. Beneath the denim vests and the leather jackets, there was a desperate search for belonging. In a city that felt like it was falling apart, the colors on your back meant one simple thing: you weren't alone.
The street gang was a tribe. It was a twisted form of family, created by young men who felt the world had forgotten them. From the pompadour-styled greasers of the 50s protecting their block with fists, to the warlords of the 70s patrolling the ruins with something far more dangerous. They were all trying to carve out a kingdom in the asphalt jungle. But like all empires, this one fell. By 1980, the rules changed again. The age of innocence, however violent it was over.
Today, those denim cuts hang in closets or museums. The warlords are grandfathers now. Some made it out, moved to the suburbs, and raised families. Others never left the pavement. We are the last generation that remembers the sound of a rumble in the park or the sight of a patch turning the corner. We are the keepers of these stories. If you walk these streets, if you remember the rules of the old neighborhood, share your memory in the comments. Let's keep the history alive. For American Steel and Stories, this has been a journey through our past. Thank you for watching.